we, seniors, if we're not there serving our constituents in the Chautauqua County Legislature, if we're not there to, at the very least, protect one of the most critical, one of the most vulnerable constituencies, our seniors, and provide this type of end-of-life, publicly supported care, then I feel I'm not doing my job.
Yeah, well, these are seniors who are not only very sick, but they're destitute. They have no money at all. I mean, they're stone broke. They've spent everything trying to survive, and they're very ill, and this is their final resort, this home.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Reed. I think, and in all fairness, I say seniors in the county home, and sadly there are people that are sick that maybe there are 40-year-olds in the county home, and in a younger age bracket too, that also need that nursing home care and deserve that nursing home care. But yes, in large part, those seniors there are the constituency that, above all, seniors, veterans, if we're not out there protecting them, fighting for them, being the voice of the voiceless, really, if you will, then what are we doing as a county legislature?
Okay, good question. Moving on, let's hope the county home does settle down and that we keep it. I personally hope we keep it. Greg, I hope that Greg Edwards thinks it over carefully, put it that way, since he seems to be very interested in selling it, and a couple other people are. But I have a feeling there's some strong opposition coming out of the legislature itself, because it's just common sense. We should have one place for our seniors to go where they can be cared for. And I've heard that the costs of it are nowhere near what they're telling us. And somebody, two different journalists have told me they tried to get the figures for this and where they got them, the costs, and they refused to give them to them. Your legislature won't give them the figures where they get this money.
Well, any financial information really needs to...
Not you personally.
Sure, but any financial information really needs to come from the administration. And legislators are policymakers. As you well know, the county executive runs the administration and the entire financial department of Chautauqua County government. So I know there were some issues with some employees and other members that are employed by Chautauqua County government trying to get some of that information. I don't know if there are other individuals out there also looking for it, but no, the contact for that information should be the county executive's office, should be the administration.
They tell me that they won't give them to him. And in the meantime, when you have the whole case for selling the county home is the expense. But if you won't tell us what the expense is, something's funny.
Well, and I've been saying too, and if you won't tell us the expense, but if you won't address what's expensive about the county home, then how can we say that there's a problem? We need to first move forward and take up the recommendations that have been made by various financial reports over the last few years. I mean, there have been accurate studies done, legitimate studies done about the county home and its financial sustainability, and the recommendations have all come, the reports have all come out with various recommendations to strengthen its financial capacity. So, if the county is losing money because of the county home supposedly, then what are we doing? What actions are we taking to address these financial losses? And I have yet to find out. They
won't tell you?
Well, I think that not enough is being done. If much at all, and I would argue that that's what we need to do to at least first address the situation with the county home.
One of the strong suggestions along that line, you check me on this, is that we should have somewhere create a new corporation or whatever, since they've outlawed it, again, mandated you cannot have an intermediate home connected to your long-term care home, your nursing home. And that is very, very functional, because a lot of people who are in there don't really have to be there. They could be in an intermediate sort of a situation where they're getting assisted living, and maybe the county could build some assisted living that they could take care of. There's assisted living places all over the county. That's one of the possibilities.
Sure, and
rehab.
Yeah, and good point. And like you said, there are some state regulations that would preclude us doing that just on our own. But yes, like we need to lobby the state for the best support possible and continuing our county home. But again, we need to be doing something as a county administration, as a county government as well. And that, I think, for starters, is taking up the recommendations of many of these financial reports over the last couple of years that point to things we need to be doing to make the county home more sustainable.
So let's hope we do make it.
Oh, absolutely.
More
I want nothing more than to continue the county home and to keep it open.
Well, there's a big hue and a cry all over the county about it. And let's just hope that the legislatures are listening, the legislators are listening, and that Greg Edwards is listening. And the fact is, we really want to keep it. And it's not quite as expensive. I hear it's not quite as expensive as the figures that they're throwing out. But again, they won't tell us what the figures are, how they're based, so we don't know. Moving on to something else new, guns. What do you think of the rifles now? You use a rifle in Chautauqua County, which can travel 100 miles.
Sure, and I think first and foremost we need to make clear. I mean, I support sportsmen's rights. I support the use of guns. I think that hunting is part of the very fabric of our community, and to think anything otherwise is just foolish. I mean, people deserve the opportunity to go out and hunt. It's a sport. People deserve the open ability to purchase firearms under safety regulations that are fair. That access is well within our rights as not just Chautauqua County residents, but as Americans. However, I do not favor the use of rifles in Chautauqua County just by virtue of our landscape. I don't think we have the geography that warrants the use of rifles, and that there is a danger there. And so, I think the state was remiss in allowing the use of rifles last year.
They're using them in every other county except in Chautauqua, and now they allowed them in Chautauqua. Well, the hunters tell us there's less danger with a rifle, believe it or not. The shotgun can go anywhere. It hits a branch, it shoots. Rifles go straight, and they don't shoot anywhere near a house. Incidentally, that's another question the hunters around here have. Let me pose this to you. The legislature is trying to get 1,000 feet from any dwelling or road illegal to hunt. Well, that would just about block off, it's now currently 500, it would block off just about all hunting in this county.
I think it gets tricky when you start trying to tinker with some of those the spacing regulations there, and then the distance regulations.
Within 1,000 feet, it's a fifth of a mile of everywhere in the county.
And that gets tricky. I think maybe another way that we should be addressing this as a county legislature, again, this is a state law. This is nothing that we can mandate as Chautauqua County legislators, but I think as a legislature, we need to encourage our state representatives to again, disallow rifle hunting in Chautauqua County. I'm not a physicist. I can't tell you specifically which way a rifle bullet goes versus if using a shotgun, but I can tell you, and experts are very confident, and we have proof that rifle shot goes so much further than that of a shotgun, and it's just that sheer capacity to go that distance is what's dangerous.
Yeah, I lived up on a hill for a little while. I have a little cabin up there, and a shotgun shell came flying through the air, shotgun, and slammed into the garage within feet of the guy who owns the place. Wow. right across from me. Shotguns, I don't know, shotgun versus rifle. They tell me rifles are more accurate, there's less danger. So the hunters all say that anyway. I don't know whether that's true, because I too am not a physicist. I have hunted, and I've hunted with both. And I'll tell you, the shotgun is not anywhere near as accurate because it's just kind of, it's not very accurate, we'll put it that way. We got a couple of calls. Here we are talking about shotguns and rifles.
That's okay.
All right, good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Well, good morning. That's kind of apropos anyways. However, I do have a question for our guest. And by the way, isn't it wonderful? This is, here we are. We're on the downside, supposedly, of winter. And I think we haven't really had too much of a winter yet.
It's been pretty nice, yeah.
I love it. The county home, as opposed to a like Absolute or Greenhurst, is it called? Some of the other ones that are privately owned. What is the how is it paid for, so to speak? I mean, do we, the taxpayers, pay for the county home, or is it, mostly paid for by the residents, or how does that work?
Sure. The county home is set up within county government as an enterprise fund. So ideally, it pays for itself. However, that hasn't been the case in more recent years. And so, although we do receive a large amount of state and federal funding toward the operations of our county home, what we really need to deal with, I think, is the impact, the cost on our local county budget of operating the publicly funded county home.
And what is that? Do you know what percent of our budget that is that we're currently spending on funding the county home?
I don't have the exact percentage off the top of my head here, but I could certainly take your information and get back to you on that. But I do know that we eliminated in our last year's budget $500,000 that was to go to the county home to help trigger a matching from state and federal dollars that was eliminated, and it's
so therefore they are no longer matching it. So
right, so
that's double money, huh?
Yeah, it's a double cut because
exactly,
we're not only
and
cutting
so
what we put in, but and why did we do that?
Well, I didn't support that measure. It was an effort to, again, trim the budget, but I think, it was done so at the peril of the county home's sustainability. I mean, if we're trying to save a facility and you rip out, over $1 million from the facility, it doesn't make it as strong as it needs to be. Exactly,
right.
Exactly. And so, I think it's a matter of philosophy. I mean, do we believe as Chautauqua County residents that the end-of-life care of our residents is important to us? And I say yes, and I say that the county home is well worth saving. If we can't care for our seniors, then what is our purpose? I
completely agree with you, but of course there's the old ice flow. Of course this year that wouldn't work very well, but
no ice.
The Eskimos, as a tradition, it has been said, when they reached a certain age and were no longer viable to their community and taking resources away from the young, which in certain weather and conditions would mean life or death for the younger generation, would they would find a nice ice floe and get on it and just kind of drift off to sea on it.
We heard that story.
And at what point are we going to sacrifice our younger generation?
Thank you for your comments. We have 2 more calls.
Okay.
And thank you. Send me a $5. Send me a stamped, personally addressed envelope, and I'll send you $5. $5 gift certificate for the lovely little restaurant at the foot of the hill. I was over there recently, and oh my God, the salad they have a salad bar there that will never die. And you get a fish fry, it plops all over 2 plates.
You are absolutely right. I've had their salad bar before and their fish before, and they're both delicious. By the way, I'd like to take this opportunity to say hello to Mr. and Mrs. B, and hope everybody's having a good winter.
Well, thank you very much, caller, and you too. The Lakeview has I love salad bars. I used to go to Roy Rogers for the salad bar. No, I've never found one that
is a great restaurant.
Yeah, they have more salad stuff. I mean, there's about 50 different things. I gave you a certificate for that. Take that over there.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
I will. Thank you.
And say hello to all the lovely people. We got 2 more calls here. I don't know why we're sitting around talking. You want to take a call? You want to talk?
I would love to talk.
Okay. You want to talk with me? Or?
Oh, no, I'd love to talk to the callers. Not that I wouldn't love to talk with you, Reed, but I would love to take the callers.
Caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a question regarding recycling. I'm hoping that you'll address that. I'd like to know that the things that we separate actually do get purchased and turned into something else. and not just put into a dump. I know that